This is the Ryder and Lisa replay.
Brought to you by Southtown Hyundai. Check out the Southtown Hyundai Advantage at southtownhyundai.ca.
It's time for Overrated, Underrated with Ryder and Lisa.
If you live in a city outside of Edmonton that is very used to the new garbage system, you've been doing it for years, you know what I'm talking about. You got your green bin and your black bin.
And that's been happening in like St. Albert, Sherwood Park.
Years. But Edmonton just started doing it recently. I want to say that underrated is when your garbage actually fits and you successfully get rid of all your garbage on garbage day, because there's nothing worse than when you have an extra garbage bag and it doesn't fit in the black bin and it has to wait another 2 weeks to get disposed. So it's just such a satisfying feeling.
When you close the lid and you're like, that's all of it.
That's it. Everything's in there.
All right, I'm going with underrated. And it's when somebody doesn't want to get dressed up for a party, but you like force them to.
Okay.
The moment that they walk through the door of the party is an underrated moment of vulnerability.
You should always be watching the door when there's a Halloween party.
Yeah, like the next year, hopefully, that I have a big Halloween shaker, I'm setting up a camera to just catch the look on dudes' faces, mainly dudes, that walk through the door and are like, yep, here it is.
Well, they're very vulnerable in that moment. I think it's the one time that even if you're best friends with everyone in the house, you're really nervous to walk through the door.
Like, check me out. I'm being silly.
I'm zany.
I'm a zany adult. Anyway, that's just an underrated moment. So I'm excited to see a couple of those shake down.
I'm going to agree with you. I think that's funny. Sorry, just checking the text line here. Sean says in Spruce Grove, it's weekly garbage pickup.
That's garbage.
That is garbage. What's that like? We have to wait 2 weeks.
Ryder and Lisa.
Tell
me something
good.
Okay, my story's really cool. Spanx creator and CEO Sarah Blakely, her company Spanx is worth $1.2 billion. She's been in Forbes. Was the youngest self-made billionaire in 2012.
Crazy the demand there is for somebody to come over to your house and just spank you.
No,
eh?
that's not what Spanx is.
Oh.
She wanted to pass some love on to her employees. Her quote says, "My life motto is the more you experience in life, the more you have to offer others." So she gave every employee that works for Spanx $10,000 and 2 first-class tickets to anywhere in the world they want to go.
What?
I know. She's so cool. If you don't know Sarah Blakely's story and how she created Spanx, I highly recommend you read her Wikipedia page. It's so cool and inspiring. Love it.
That's unbelievable. And I was thinking of Spankers.
Yes.
That's the app.
Tell me something good.
Or somebody will come over. Anyway, my story is about a lottery ticket. Do you remember hearing about the $20 million that went unclaimed?
No.
Okay, it happened last month, and everybody's like, who just has a $20 million ticket? It was in the prairies, east of us.
Okay, I think I do remember that because I was so frustrated knowing that, who just doesn't check their ticket when that's the pot?
Well, his name is Jerry Knott, and he forgot he had bought it, was in the gas station, pulled out his credit card to pay for gas or whatever he was buying at the gas station, and noticed the ticket.
Wow.
So, ran it through and saw a 2 and a bunch of zeros and was like, whoa, did I just win $20,000? And the gas station employee's like, no, sir, you won $20 million. And he was blown away. Here's my favorite part of the story. A while ago, his father and him set up, bought some land on Big Stone Lake and built cabins and cottages to expand their dream of making a easily accessible treatment center.
Oh, wow.
That also combines a wilderness experience to it.
Okay.
Anyway,
this is a karma story.
so he's adding 5 cottages to this place that was already in the works, and it's going to help so many people in northern Manitoba.
Tell me something good.
You saw a run-in yesterday in the parking lot.
Yeah, it was intense. I was almost late for work because, first of all, I didn't want to get involved in the food chain. I didn't want to disrupt it.
Okay.
But there was a massive coyote. I'm talking, looked like a huge husky dog.
Yeah, they're big this year.
Yeah.
I don't know if maybe they're healthy and their fur's just popping.
Yeah, they're eating good, I think.
Like the coyotes I remember growing up around in Saskatchewan were like chihuahuas.
I didn't want to watch, but at the same time, I was curious how it would shake down. I've never seen an actual animal fight, though, ever.
Like in person?
Nothing.
Yeah, that's my dream. I watch a lot of videos online. I watched a jaguar pull an alligator out of the water yesterday, and it was like a 6-minute captivating video.
You love animal fights.
Yeah.
Online, on YouTube specifically. There's like compilations. Sometimes we're here in the studio, we're prepping the show, and I'm like, what are you so invested in over there? I can't see Ryder's computer screen from where I'm sitting. Half the time, animal fights.
I even like when animals and humans end up having to fight. Remember when that kangaroo stole that guy's dog and had it in a headlock, and Buddy walked over and ended up like boxing the kangaroo?
Kangaroos are terrifying.
To save his dog. Like, I don't want to promote animal abuse, obviously.
Never.
But this guy was saving his dog, and he had to punch a kangaroo in the head, and it was awesome.
So curious if any of our listeners have ever watched firsthand animal fights. Maybe you were involved in an animal fight.
I watched 2 fish fight.
Okay, that was your own fault, though.
I know it was, and I still feel bad about it. My daughter got fish, I forget what kind, Eleni Cuddles Bubbles.
It was a fighter fish, wasn't it?
Yeah, some kind of fighter fish. And then it looked lonely, and it seemed depressed in its small, boring little tank. So I was like, well, I got to get him a buddy. That was a mistake. Full out brawl as soon as I put him in, like blood and stuff. And I was like, so then I had to buy another aquarium to have these stupid fish in separate, and they kept on bumping the wall trying to fight each other again, like they wanted to go.
There was one point where one of them was laid out on the counter, like it tried to jump into the other one.
Yeah, they really like fighting. I guess that's why they have their name.
Chelsea texted in saying, my 175-pound dog is a gentle giant. Unless there's other dogs that he decides he doesn't like for whatever reason. He somehow escaped from our yard to attack a dog walking by once. My neighbor saw, ran across the lawn, straight up tackled our 175-pound dog to the ground until we came outside to see what the heck was going on. Luckily, no one was hurt. We got Mama D on the text line who wrote in saying, on one of my morning runs, I came across a magpie and a crow who were fighting each other. Turns out they were fighting over who would get this baby bunny that was cowering underneath. I ended up saving the baby bunny and took it to a wildlife rescue center. Not sure if it made it or not, so it must have been pretty beat up. But she says it was really intense.
Yeah, that sounds intense. Speaking of which, we got a text here that says, I don't know if you guys still have it, but I recall a story on your show from a couple years ago where a cougar attacked a girl who was riding a horse. I was wondering if you still had that story, because I remember it being pretty intense, is what the text says.
I don't even remember. Where was she riding her horse?
Pincher Creek, and I found the call where she breaks it down to us. I did some digging into the archives. Check out this story.
I was in Pincher Creek horseback riding.
It is.
Yeah. So I was riding my horse bareback, and she's a really good horse, so she started acting super weird, and I was like, okay, what the heck is happening? Like, behave. And she was acting super crazy. And then all of a sudden, I felt like this insane, sharp pain in my legs, and she just took off running, and I was like, okay, what's happening right now? And I looked behind us, and there was a cougar latched onto the back of my freaking horse.
What?
Yes.
Like, you felt a pain in your leg?
Yeah, so the cougar's claws were like dug into my leg on one side and the side of my horse on the other side.
Okay, continue.
So she started running pretty much as fast as she could, and I just started hanging on for dear life because I was like, this is it. Like, this is how I go.
Yeah, if you fell off, that's it.
No,
You're
I
done.
stayed on.
Well, I know you stayed on because we're talking to you right now.
Yeah, that's crazy. So eventually it obviously let go?
Well, she ran through these, like, really, really thick trees, and so I ended up getting, like, the shit beaten out of me, but the cougar ended up falling off.
That is the coolest, craziest, scariest story ever.
Yeah, so if you don't know what peeing yourself from fear feels like, I definitely do.
How wild is that story? That could have been our terror tale today.
Yeah, that's true. That's still coming up, by the way. Don't go anywhere. Tara texted in saying, a Great Dane playfully knocked down my toddler in the dog park. My golden retriever straight up took down this Great Dane and stood on his shoulder. Didn't hurt him, just pinned him down and said, watch it, buddy, pretty much. That needs to be the next installment of Air Bud. We need like a dog park edition.
It's crazy. Like, I think this is a good opportunity to drop a little PSA about having kids at the dog park and how careful you have to be. Mm-hmm. It's the eye level thing, I think. Like dogs, some dogs that haven't been around kids are just confused by what they are, I think. I remember I took my daughter just after buying my house. There's a dog park close by. And so we went for a walk. We didn't have a dog at this point. And like checked out the dog park. And the lady's like, does your daughter want to help like use one of those slingshot ball thrower things?
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, of course. And she seemed to be under control with things. No, all of a sudden a huge dog runs over, tackles my daughter, and is like
mounting her
on top of her, like could have taken off her face.
Yep.
And it just happened like that. And so now when we go to the dog park together, she's either holding my hand or riding on my shoulders. Like just be careful. There is a lady that has gone viral on TikTok because she turned her breast milk into butter.
I've done it. I made butter out of my breast milk. I don't know if I've ever been more proud. Here's my butter. My butter. My utter butter.
So now she's calling it her utter butter, which, in my opinion, could have came up with a better name than that.
I mean, it's a good rhyme.
But like actual butter is more utter butter than this is.
Right.
You know what I mean?
So what would you call it if it was a woman's breast milk being turned into butter or churned or whatever?
The best I could come up with was margarine. Margarine.
What about just booby butter? Booby butter has a great ring to it.
Yeah, yours would probably sell more than margarine.
Okay, so she made it into butter, and then now she's using it for her toast? Like, is she consuming it herself? Because I've heard of this happening before. I follow a girl who had leftover breast milk, and she posted on Instagram that she made cookies out of the milk, like with the milk. Mm-hmm. Who are you serving that to? Does it matter to people listening right now? Would you care if you went over to a friend's house for a cup of tea and some treats?
Yes.
And they served you cookies and didn't tell you that they made it with breast milk? Does it really matter? Like, look at a cow. You're drinking a cow's udder juice.
No,
So what's the difference?
If somebody served me that without a heads up, we'd have beef. Unless it was like you videoed my reaction when you told me and it was a prank, then I'd probably be all right with it. But
Sarah wrote in saying boob lube. That's a great name for it too. See, you're right. Utter butter just doesn't do the trick. But it seems to be a normalized thing that people are doing where they're consuming breast milk. Mm-hmm. There was even a story recently, just 5 days ago, Dax Shepard talked on his podcast about how his wife, Kristen Bell, had a clogged milk duct and he helped fix it.
Declog it. Okay. I can't think of many tools that would work better than my guess is a human mouth to unclog something like that, right? Mm-hmm. Like maybe a plunger.
You have to test. Do you have to test breast milk before you serve it to a baby? No, you just test it on your wrist to see if it's hot, right?
Well, that's after you warm it up. Straight from the breast, you would always be fine, unless you were like in a sauna.
Have you?
But you test it like after you heat it up to make sure that it's okay, it doesn't burn.
Have you tried breast milk before, Ryder? You have a daughter, so I'm just curious, like there's been breast milk in your world.
Yeah.
We're normalizing this. Like obviously it's a thing people do. If a girl I know posted about her breast milk cookies.
I may have ran out of milk once for my coffee.
There you go.
Yeah.
And it's just milk, right? Does it taste the same?
No, I don't want to get into too many details, but it was like it was not the same as like a cow's milk. Closer to like a almond or an oat milk.
Which are all the rave right now.
Big time, yeah.
So makes sense why it's in the news. Crystal says, my husband was served homemade kombucha that was made with his friend's placenta. He was not told this before drinking the kombucha.
Beef. I would have beef if somebody did that with me. I'll stand by it. If you're wondering if this Utter Butter is good, this was the review from the couple that went viral with
let's hear it.
To me, it tastes like, when you like burp and it kind of tastes like throw up.
Ew. Okay, I am not interested in her Utter Butter.
This couple seems like they're just a little bit too open. You know what I mean?
They're giving me Ashton Kutcher, Mila Kunis vibes right now. Like, we don't need to know that you don't bathe your kids.
1,000%.
We don't need to know about the taste of your Utter Butter.
If it's something that you're on the fence about, sounds like it doesn't taste good either. So maybe just stay with no.
Hello.
Good morning, boss.
Hey, what's up?
Not much. We just came across a story that the Spanx founder is giving her employees a free trip anywhere in the world and $10,000.
Okay. So you want to go work for Spanx?
No, but we're just curious if you could give us something right now, what would you have available?
Just remember you're live on the radio and all of our listeners might get their first impression of you from this.
So back up. They're giving their employees $10,000.
Yeah.
And a trip anywhere in the world.
Each.
Well, I don't know. I told you guys I'd take you for a beer. I might have forgot.
What about like a rotisserie chicken or something?
Yeah, those are $12.
Yeah, sure, because it's cheaper than 2 beers normally.
We'll share a rotisserie chicken and the beers.
I'll stop by see him on the way to work.
Yeah, score. High five. Woo! Free chicken. Thank you so much for submitting your scary stories to us this month at 780-784-7107. We wouldn't be able to do this segment without you. If you have a crazy encounter you'd like to share, shoot me an email, ryder@play107.com. I may be calling or writing back just to get more details. I think it's time we do another one. Let's go.
And now, here's another terrifying episode of Terror Tales.
Deanna did not want to jump on the show today and preferred to just tell me the story in writing and have me read it.
Sometimes it's good when you read it. You have a creepy voice, you know?
Thanks, Lisa. Thank you.
Anytime.
Deanna writes, I was driving to the East Coast with my mom and sister. When I was 16, my sister would have been about 20. It was late, but we were well rested still and alert. We were driving through Dryden, Ontario, and needed gas in a bathroom break, so we stopped. There was a van full of teenagers that looked like they were heading out on a road trip at the gas station, and a small white car parked at the pump in front of us with 2 young men standing still outside of it. When we got there, everything felt wrong. We'd been on the road for days, seen many rest stops at night, and had never really been afraid until then. My mom and sister went inside to use the bathroom, and I stayed in the car. I heard the teenagers say that they were creeped out and couldn't get the pump to work. They left in a hurry. I was watching the car in front of us, and the two men had not moved at all, not an inch. They weren't talking, they weren't on their phones, they were just standing there, still as stone. My sister and mom came running back out to the car. When they got in, the 2 men slowly turned to look at us, while not moving or pivoting the rest of their bodies, and we all saw the same thing. They had dark eyes that looked empty, truly empty, not black, not reflecting any light at all, just a void of eyes. We sped out of there and didn't stop until we were in the next city to get gas. The weirdest part is on the way back through Dryden a couple weeks later, we were all still shook and couldn't stop talking about how scary it was. So we drove past the gas station and took note. It was all boarded up and looked like it had been for years. Very confusing.
What?
I got goosebumps
Me
from that
too.
one. Terrifying.
So good, though. Well written, too.
Yeah. Get your stories in to 780-784-7107 or Ryder@play107.com.
Ryder and Lisa.
Brought to you by Southtown Hyundai.
Play 107.